Welcome back, it's Lucy and Ellie from Roman Found, and we are back on our home turf in Lincolnshire.
And it's possibly the most horrific forecast of the week, with relentless thunderstorms predicted until well after 4 p.m.
But nothing can normally keep us out of the fields, especially with the beginning of harvest starting to reveal some of our best sights.
A late start around 5 p.m. sees us trudging down the sodden public footpath, but squinting through the drizzle into the distance, the field looks different than usual. It looks darker, browner, almost stubbleless.
Our hopes and prayers are confirmed, pushing through the hedgerow into the corner of a freshly ploughed field. The rain may have kept us away, but it certainly didn't stop the farmers.
In the county of Lincolnshire, we like to look for one main thing: Romans. The Roman army first advanced into our home county in 47 AD, and they subsequently occupied here for over 3 centuries, building forts at Ancaster, Caister and Louth, just to name a few. The legionary fortress in Colonia, established at Lincoln, became one of the most important Roman garrison towns in England, and the 2 Roman roads it passed through were possibly some of the most important routes of Roman Britain.
And the latest field that we've been exploring has so far thrown up plenty of this Roman history, from pottery sherds to beautifully detailed Roman coins.
With eyes to the ground and the thick clay mud starting to add height to our boots, it's time to get into it and see what we can find.
There, lead.
Lead?
Lead. First sign of ancient activity.
A little bit of lead.
Immediately, signs of ancient activity are popping up across the field as the finds bag starts to get weighed down with more and more fragments of lead cast off.
Quite strong. Oh, is it lead?
Lead?
Lead!
In Roman through to medieval England, lead, being a soft material and with a low boiling point, was used for practically everything, from glue to quick fixes and even the cheap and easy moulding of artefacts.
But it's the wealth of pottery fragments in this freshly tumbled plough that's really starting to take up the space in our finds bags, as our field makes itself known as a Roman site.
Oh, nice lump here. Could potentially be from a handle with that circular bit there, maybe where it joined onto a much larger vessel. Interesting piece.
The Romans dramatically changed pottery production in Britain. Before, pottery had been handmade and bonfired, but the introduction of the fast potter's wheel and the semi-permanent kiln meant that pottery could be made much faster, in a more uniform way, and fired more successfully in a controlled environment. It is these methods of manufacture that make Romano-British pottery so distinctive from its Iron Age predecessors and its Saxon successors. Roman pottery tends to be thinner, harder, and much more uniform.
Look at this bit. Just a beautiful tiny little rim piece.
Of all Roman pottery that you can find in Britain, greywares make up 80% of all the Roman pottery found. Much of this greyware that we are finding here is a type of courseware that was used mainly for cooking, food preparation or storage. Courseware were fired to a high temperature and used to boil water in the forms of plates, lids, cups, cauldrons and frying pans. In most cases they'll be from local sources, but some would have been transported over incredibly long distances.
What's this?
Is it a reveal?
It's going to be a reveal. Oh, it's a real big chunky bit of rim, I think.
Oh, look at that bit. That's a beastie bit.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, it's a lovely bit.
Very muddy.
Nicely decorated bit, that. It would have had a second rim, look. It looks like a broad shoulder or something, doesn't it? Maybe like a huge food vessel.
It's probably as clean as I can get it. This large rim piece is most likely an example from a huge storage jar used in domestic Roman life. Is that a bit of mortar or just whiteware? Let's see. Yay! Quite chunky. A little bit of grit. Is that another bit of Mortaria? To my amazement, my next spot is another example of a Roman domestic vessel, but it's a much more unusual type and my favourite one to find, Mortaria.
Oh, look, there's a bit of grit.
I think so.
Definitely Mortaria, look. Oh, a lovely bit. That's some great grit in there.
Yeah.
Mortarias are the pestle and mortar of the Roman day, and they're mostly produced in white, cream or buff ware. They've got several important features such as a pouring spout and trituration grit, and a lot of mortarias were produced for the Roman military, with the potter's identification stamps on their broad rims allowing these military trade routes to be easily traced today. Specially designed pestles are rarely present in the archaeological record, but it's suspected that they used sawn-off amphora handles or stones or even wood.
If you'd like to learn more about these unique Roman vessels and see how they would have been made, then be sure to check out our video with potted history in their Northumberland studio.
But it's not just pottery that is worth keeping an eye out for, as this humble oyster shell reveals yet more Roman history of the area. Oysters were actually a common part of the everyday Roman diet, and there's lots of evidence of this oyster trade and popularity across the Roman Empire. British oysters in particular have been found exported as far away as Rome, and in the Colchester, Essex area, Roman beds for the cultivation of oysters have been found to meet the high demand of the times.
After being distracted by all our eyes only finds, we finally have our first good signal of the day.
I think it's in this lump somewhere.
Ooh, what's that?
What's that? It's definitely it. What have we got? What was it? 17?
Yeah.
Oh, is it a button? Look.
Is it a button?
It is.
Wow, it's very
It's very shiny.
and very round.
Yeah, I think so that it will be quite old then. Quite a nice one.
Sounds like a pearl.
It's possibly the nicest button I think we've ever found.
Yeah.
That's up there. Top button find. You can see where the shank would have been there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a metal detecting day without a button find, and this ball-shaped button actually comes from the 18th century, the so-called golden age of buttons, where the button-making industry was at its height, producing buttons in a huge variety of designs and styles that will never again be matched. This button, made from the magic metal alloy of tombac, contains just enough zinc in it to give it a silvery appearance. It's a very popular form of spherical and oval holotype that were produced in two parts and fused together, and many of these were often silver-plated. The globular shape was a particular preference for precious metal buttons, and wearing of such buttons would have been a statement of fashion and an overt display of wealth and position in society.
It's wet down. There's that. There you go.
Is it a nail?
It's a nail. Big old lump.
It's not long till the pottery starts cropping up again, and my next find is a huge Roman greyware rim sherd. Ooh. Really nice bit. All about the pottery today.
This sherd comes from a large plate style that would have been used to serve all manner of Roman delicacy, and although not considered high status at the time, it would have been in use in households both rich and poor across Roman Britain. If you're loving our digging adventures, please remember to hit that subscribe button and follow our channel.
Ooh. What's this little guy look? I mean, that looks like a beautiful base there. Do you think it's a bit of Samian ware? What colour code is it? It's got that classic Samian red on it. Lucy! What? Come here!
What is that?
Samian ware!
Where?
I think. Or it could just be colour coded, I'm not sure.
A Upon finding this piece, I immediately thought it was a fragment of Samian ware, a high-value glossy red tableware that was incredibly popular in Roman Britain and was industrially produced on the continent in a scale unequalled until the 18th century. But upon closer inspection, I discovered that this was actually an example of what they call British Samian ware, distinguished from Gaulish Samian ware by the colour of the internal fabric, which is a pinky cream instead of a red colour. In the later Roman period, around the 3rd to 5th centuries, domestically produced red wares became fashionable. This can be linked to Gaulish Samian ware going out of production in the early 3rd century, and it's believed that Romano-British potters attempted to emulate this popular and high-value tableware. This piece is most likely to be Oxfordshire redware, and from the small base, the shard is likely to be from a beaker and would have been used to serve wine.
Oh,
Oh,
what's that?
looks like a Roman.
At last! It's a good sized Roman, that.
Oh yeah.
Lovely sized Roman. Shall I see if it cleans up a
Oh,
little bit?
is there a little bit of detail on that?
Could be. Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
Oh, not masses on her. But a Roman's a Roman.
The vast majority of Roman coins discovered are poorly preserved, much like this one, making them difficult to identify.
At last!
This is especially common when they come from the later part of the Roman period in Britain, as coinage was increasingly made out of lesser quality materials.
But from some careful scrutiny, the distinctive rectangular corner of the Roman campgate reverse type can just be made out in between the corrosion on this coin, dating it from 317 to 330 AD. To the man on the 4th century Roman street, one of the most important services of the government was protection from the barbarian invasions that had troubled Rome for over 200 years. This is evidenced by the coin types relating to the military like this one. Primarily dating to the era of Licinius and Constantine, the Campgate series comes from these years of civil war and unrest, depicting one of the most important structures for defence and fortification as reassurance to the Roman public in these turbulent times.
What have you pulled out?
Oh, just a nice body fragment.
Ooh, big bit.
Big bit. Nice fine bit as well. Look at that one peeking out.
That looks incredible.
Oh wow. Look at that.
Wow.
It's a beauty.
Wow. It's probably one of the more decorated pieces we found apart from your head pot piece.
Absolutely. Look at that.
Mega. Is this the eyes only find of the day? An epic decorated greyware rim, most likely from a bowl. Very good, 16. Hopefully something good.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it?
Wow.
Look at the size of that. That's a beast, that is.
I haven't had one of those for a while.
What calibre do you think that is?
No.
Christ, it looks like a takedown deer.
13. Oh, that.
Ooh. What's that?
It's a bit of a pipe temper.
Oh, I think it might be. It looks a bit like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Little artefact.
Woohoo.
Does look like a bit of pipe tamper.
This curious artefact is actually evidence of a popular 17th century pastime, as it is the broken tamper section from a pipe tamper seal ring.
Smoking was rapidly becoming a large part of the culture in the 17th century. By 1680 to 1700, almost every town and city in Britain had a clay pipe manufacturer. But within that clay pipe, it was incredibly important to maintain the correct density of tobacco for a successful smoke, so the pipe tamper was created to press the tobacco down. A signet ring was also a very widespread and common occurrence in the 17th century, as seals had been used as signatures and stamps of authenticity since 3500 BC. They were much more trustworthy than writing. The two artefacts, signet ring and pipe tamper, were often combined, as apparently gentlemen would often lose their pipe tamper having had too much to drink. With such a multifunctional artefact, the user could wear his ring and conceal the tamper in his palm.
Heading back, we decide to stick close to the boundary of the field and end up being treated to the find of the day in one of the very last signals. Nice little 10-11. Please don't be lead. Oh, it's on you. Where is it?
Oh, there.
Cut half.
Cut half, I think. Look at that. Look at that little guy.
It's our first Hemi out of this field.
Woohoo. Strange cut half, look, it's an
Oh
Edward
yeah,
cut
diagonal. Yeah, that's cool.
This long-cross penny of Edward I being cut into a half cut shows an interesting reflection of society's slow adaptation to the major recoinage of 1279. In 1279, Edward I introduced new denominations into a currency that was largely dominated by a single silver penny, the halfpenny, farthing and a groat. The great recoinage that resulted from this decision is one of the most noteworthy of the medieval period, as it established a pattern for the design and production of English coins that was to last for more than 200 years. But the reason for this change was to prevent the need for the clipping of a penny into halves or quarters to form small change, an act that was creating too much opportunity for moneyers and unscrupulous societal members to snip off extra slivers of silver for themselves and devalue the currency. However, this long cross of Edward I, minted after the recoinage, is still cut in half like they were trying to phase out, going to show that the recoinage failed to stop this practice completely.
A Roman and a Hemi. Oh yeah.
Ellie covered in mud. With the rain really starting to come down and the dark clouds rolling over the horizon, it's time to make our swift exit from this muddy field before it becomes even more of a swamp.
If you've loved all the history behind this dig and fancy viewing some more sunny adventures, then be sure to check out our latest dig in Norfolk.
And don't forget to check out our online store for all the latest Roman found drops. Thanks for watching!